जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी। जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी। जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी। यशोदनन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन। यशोदानन्दन 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 व्रज जनरञ्जन। यमुनातीरावनचारि। यमुनातीरावनचारि। जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। जय निताय सच्चिनंदन निताय सच्चिनंदन निताय सच्चिनंदन गौर हरि। जय निताय सच्चिनंदन निताय सच्चिनंदन निताय सच्चिनंदन गौर हरि। जय जय प्रभुपाद प्रभुपाद प्रभुपाद। जय जय प्रभुपाद। जय जय गुरुदेव गुरुदेव गुरुदेव। जय जय गुरुदेव। नित्य गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल। नित्य गौर हरि बोल। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। Hare Krishna, will start with the Mangalacharan prayers. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगल्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरंगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणि प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादि पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधार श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेष्वभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवत्युत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः. So today we are reading verse 31 from chapter 15, canto 1. So 1.15.31. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Vishoko Brahma Sampatya Sachinadvaita Samshaya Lina Prakriti Nairgunyat Alingatvad Asambhava Vishoko Brahma Sampatya Sanchinnadvaita Samshaya Lina Prakriti Nairgunyat Alingatvad Asambhava Vishoko Brahma Sampatya Sanchinnadvaita Samshaya लीन प्रकृति नैर्गुण्याद अलिंगत्वाद असंभवः. So anybody would like to chant?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I can give it a try.
Yes.
Vishoko Brahma Sampatya Sanchina Dvaita Samshaya Lina Prakriti Nairgunyat Alingatvat Asambhava. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Anybody else?
I want to try, Prabhu.
Yes, Mataji.
विशोको ब्रह्म सम्पत्या सञ्चिन्य द्वैत संशयः लीना प्रकृति निर्गुण्यात् आलिङ्त्वाद् असम्भवः. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji. Anyone else? Okay, so we will read the synonyms. Vishoka, free from bereavement. Brahma Sampatya, by possession of spiritual assets. Sanchinna, being completely cut off. Dvaita Samshaya, from the doubts of relativity. Leena, merged in Prakriti, material nature. Nairgunyat, due to being in transcendence. Alingatvat, because of being devoid of a material body. Asambhava, free from birth and death. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation: because of his possessing spiritual assets, the doubts of duality were completely cut off. Thus he was freed from the three modes of material nature and placed in transcendence. There was no longer any chance of his becoming entangled in birth and death, for he was freed from material form. Purport: doubts of duality begin from the misconception of the material body, which is accepted as the self by less intelligent persons. The most foolish part of our ignorance is our identifying this material body with the self. Everything in relation with the body is ignorantly accepted as our own. Doubts due to misconceptions of myself and mine. In other words, my body, my relatives, my property, my wife, my children, my wealth, my country, my community, and hundreds and thousands of similar illusory contemplations cause bewilderment for the conditioned soul. By assimilating the instructions of the Bhagavad Gita, one is sure to be released from such bewilderment, because real knowledge is knowledge that the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vasudeva, Lord Krishna, is everything, including oneself. Everything is a manifestation of his potency as part and parcel. The potency and the potent are non-different. So the conception of duality is at once mitigated by attainment of perfect knowledge. As soon as Arjuna took up the instructions of the Bhagavad Gita, expert as he was, he could at once eradicate the material conception of Lord Krishna his eternal friend. He could realize that the Lord was still present before him by his instruction, by his form, by his pastimes, by his qualities, and everything else related to him. He could realize that Lord Krishna, his friend, was still present before him by his transcendental presence in different non-dual energies, and there was no question of attainment of the association of the Lord by another change of body under the influence of time and space. By attainment of absolute knowledge, one can be in association with the Lord constantly, even in this present life, simply by hearing, chanting, thinking of, and worshipping the Supreme Lord. One can see him, one can feel his presence even in this present life, simply by understanding the Advaya Jnana Lord, or the Absolute Lord, through the process of devotional service, which begins with hearing about him. Lord Chaitanya says that simply by chanting the holy name of the Lord, one can at once wash off the dust on the mirror of pure consciousness. And as soon as the dust is removed, one is at once freed from all material conditions. To become free from material conditions means to liberate the soul. As soon as one is therefore situated in absolute knowledge, his material conception of life is removed, or he emerges from a false conception of life. Thus, the function of the pure soul is revived in spiritual realization. This practical realization of the living being is made possible due to his becoming free from the reactions of the three modes of material nature, namely goodness, passion, and ignorance. By the grace of the Lord, a pure devotee is at once raised to the place of the Absolute, and there is no chance of the devotees becoming materially entangled again in conditioned life. One is not able to feel the presence of the Lord in all circumstances until one is endowed with the required transcendental vision made possible by devotional service prescribed in the revealed scriptures. Arjuna had attained this stage long before on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, and when he apparently felt the absence of the Lord, he at once took shelter of the instructions of the Bhagavad Gita, and thus again he was placed in his original position. This is the position of Vishoka, or the stage of being freed from all grief and anxieties. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. I'll read the translation once again, just to be in touch with the context. So because of his possessing spiritual assets, the doubts of duality were completely cut off. Thus he was freed from the three modes of material nature and placed in transcendence. There was no longer any chance of his becoming entangled in birth and death, for he was freed from material form. Hare Krishna. So this is a very important verse, and the purport Srila Prabhupada more or less summarized the entire Bhagavad Gita, at least the essence of Bhagavad Gita. And the verse itself is, the context is Arjuna is now without the physical presence of Krishna, but he is taking shelter of instructions of Krishna. So even though Vapu is not there, he is taking shelter of the Vani, which is always there. And we are also instructed to do the same. Srila Prabhupada, for example, is no more with us physically, but his Vani is there. So that is more than enough. So Arjuna is remembering the instructions of Krishna, and he's again being situated in transcendence. But last verse, it is mentioned that he never was out of association of Krishna. Even though seemingly it looks like he got bewildered or something, but he is not like that. He's an eternal associate. Even before Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna got bewildered, but that is just a pastime. So Arjuna was forced to be bewildered in that way, and then Krishna was able to speak Bhagavad Gita for all of us. So in this verse, it is described that the doubts of duality were completely cut off because he, Arjuna, is possessing all spiritual assets. And the outcome of that is he was freed from three modes of material nature. So the whole Bhagavad Gita is speaking about the same thing. Arjuna getting bewildered, and then Krishna is educating him. We are not this body, material body, but we are the spirit soul, part and parcel of Krishna. And transcend the three modes of material nature, etc. So here it is mentioned that once someone comes to that stage, Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma, and in that stage, of course, one can relish the bliss and then progress from there again to the higher realms of bhakti. And what happens is there is no longer any chance of the person becoming entangled in birth and death, because he was freed from the material form. And Gita itself, we can see that at multiple places, once we attain the spiritual world, one will never come back to this material world. So this verse is, of course, Arjuna is the subject matter here, but this is meant for all of us. First of all, we have to know we are in this duality of delusion, and then we have to see how we can come out of that duality. And what is the process? How to accept the process, understand the process, and follow the process, apply the process in our life, and then go beyond these three modes of nature. That is a whole instruction Krishna speaks in Bhagavad Gita in detail. So here Prabhupada starts with, of course, mentioning the way Krishna started Bhagavad Gita. You are not this body, you are the spirit soul. Spirit soul cannot be killed. It is eternal, and long details. And all these misconceptions of myself, mine, these are my relatives based on this body, etc. Give up all those false conceptions. And we have to understand who Krishna is also, who is the supreme, who is the source of everything. Krishna is the supreme Lord, Vasudeva Sarvamiti Samahatma Sudurlabha. Krishna is the cause of all causes. So this understanding is very important, but we have to go beyond just the understanding, and we have to apply this understanding in our life practically. Now there are multiple realizations. One thing Prabhupada mentions here is one can realize that Lord is still present by his instruction, by his form, by his pastimes, by his qualities, and everything else related to him. Nama, Rupa, Guna, Leela, etc. So the process here is simply hearing. He is emphasizing on that. Of course, the 9 processes of bhakti, Navavidha bhakti, starting with hearing, then hearing, chanting, smaranam, thinking, worshipping, etc. So ultimately one has to take up the process of devotional service, which starts with hearing. That's why Lord Chaitanya, one of the reasons why he descended is to spread the holy name of Krishna to the entire world. Because when we do that, Cheto Darpana Marjanam, our hearts will be cleansed of all these material contaminations. And thus, once we are pure, this is a mirror of pure consciousness. Heart will become a mirror-like heart, cleansed mirror, which is very clean, so we can see who we are. We are the spirit soul, part and parcel of Krishna. So to become free from these material conditions means to liberate the soul. So once soul is in that situation, that means all the material conceptions of life is removed. All the false conception of life will be removed. Then it is written that the function of the pure soul is revived in spiritual realization. And next sentence Prabhupada wrote is very important. This practical realization of the living being is made possible due to his becoming free from the reactions of 3 modes of nature, sattva, rajas, tamo gunas. So the pure devotee is at once raised to the place of absolute. And once someone reaches to that space, then no chance of the devotees becoming materially entangled again. So, of course, Arjuna is a pure devotee, but he played that role of a conditioned soul. And after hearing Bhagavad Gita in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, he attained that stage, transcendental stage. And now, when Krishna is no more with him, at least in this pastime, he apparently felt the absence of the Lord, but he took shelter of the instructions. of Bhagavad Gita. And just by taking shelter of the instructions, he was able to revive his original constitutional position. So this is that Vishoka. Vishoka means no anxiety, no shoka, no grief. It is a very peaceful situation. Now in Bhagavad Gita, there are many places Krishna speaks about this duality, or what is, the condition of these kind of people. So in 9th chapter, there is this Moghasha, Mogha Karmano, Mogha Jnanavite Vichetasaha, Rakshasi Masurim, Chaiva Prakriti Mohinim Shritaha. In that verse, Krishna is talking about these bewildered souls. They are attracted by demonic and atheistic views. So they are in a deluded condition. So there is no hope for liberation, because they are simply behind the fruitive activities to gain a lot of material stuff, and their culture of knowledge is completely defeated. Then Krishna speaks about the other category, which is Mahatmas. Mahatmanastumam partha daivim prakriti mashritaha. And they bhajanti ananya manaso jnatva bhutadim avyayam. So these Mahatmas, interestingly, Prabhupada wrote the translation. So before he translate Mahatma, the great souls, he wrote those who are not deluded, because previous verse, the characteristics of deluded souls are mentioned. So here Prabhupada is emphasizing that Krishna is going to speak about the other category who are not deluded, and they are called Mahatmas, Mahatmanas. So these kind of Mahatmas, they are under the protection of Yogamaya, divine nature. So because of that, they are always engaged in service of Krishna. And they know Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the original Supreme Lord. So they will not be under the control of three modes of nature. And then the verse after that is Satatam Kirtayantoma, what are their activities, etc. Krishna speaks. So, and then in chapter 2, there is a verse Traigunya Vishaya Veda Nistraigunyo Bhavarjuna. There he mentions Nirdvando, Nitya Sattvastho, Niryoga Kshema Atmavan. So Nirdvandva means without duality. So, of course, Krishna is talking about Vedic, the Vedas are majorly talking about these three modes of material nature and different activities to enjoy things in this material world. But Krishna is asking Arjuna, you transcend those three modes. That way you can become free from all dualities and from all anxieties for gain and safety. Now, duality means Prabhupada defines duality as something which. So let me read that word. Prabhupada writes this in one of the purport, that duality means you cannot understand one thing without understanding the other. For example, good, bad. So our definition of good is based on the understanding of what is not good or what is bad. So if we know what is bad, just do the opposite, that is good. Or if you know what is good, then don't do the opposite, which is bad. So we need both of these, like that light, darkness. If there is no light, then we are defining that as darkness. Or if it is completely dark and suddenly there is a light, then we know that is light. That is not darkness. And then many other aspects are mentioned in Bhagavad Gita: happiness, distress, etc., etc. And then Srila Prabhupada also defines duality as whether shall I become Krishna conscious or material conscious. Of course, once we know that, we don't ask this question, but unknowingly we are in this dilemma. Sometimes we think, if there is a danger or something, generally conditioned souls will think about how can I overcome this on my own. Not only danger, but small issues or problems, we generally tend to resolve this on our own. Then later, if something doesn't work or nothing works, then we will approach the Lord. Oh Lord, please help me to resolve. So this is that duality. Shall I become Krishna conscious or material conscious? So the whole duality means intermixture of these three modes of nature. So once we are entangled in that, it's not easy to come out. Mama Maya Duratyaya, Krishna spoke in Bhagavad Gita. But he gave the solution, Mameva ye prapadyante. You please take shelter of me, then I will take care of you. Then you are no more entangled in these dualities. And 7th chapter Bhagavad Gita, there is this famous verse, Yesham tvantagatam papam jananam punya karmanam te dvandva moha nirmukta bhajante mam dridhavrata. So here there is a mention about who is not controlled by these dualities. So once someone has done a lot of pious activities in this life or previous lives, and thus whose sinful actions are completely eradicated, they are free from these dualities, and they engage themselves in my service. Krishna speaks like that with determination. So if one is impure, it's not easy even to execute the devotional service. We are all very familiar with that. If we have to chant with full attention, we need to have some kind of, or we have to reach to some extent of purity. We cannot be completely entangled in this material world. We cannot be completely thinking about material stuffs and activities and all those things. That means our heart is very much contaminated. In that situation, we cannot chant the holy name at all. We have to reach to a particular level of purity, not that completely pure, but to some level of purity is required for us to engage in devotional service with determination. That's what this verse is talking about. So we have these 9 stages of bhakti. We start with Adav Shraddha, then we will, with some faith, maybe little faith, this process might work. Let me at least consider executing this process. So we start with that process. Then we go through this sadhu sangha, we meet some devotees, and very important stage. Then we will execute this or start to execute bhajana kriya, maybe not with that kind of enthusiasm and determination initially, but we'll just get into that path. Then the anartha nivritti happens, and then at some point in time, we will be reasonably pure, and we will reach the nishtha stage, steady state. Then we actually engage ourselves in pure devotional service with enthusiasm, determination, etc. So this is very important, that we have to come out of these dualities of material nature. And there are many verses. I don't think we can discuss all these verses in Bhagavad Gita itself and even Bhagavatam, which describes the duality and how to come out of the duality. But fundamentally, Srila Prabhupada already explained in the purport. Fundamentally, what we have to do is Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, etc. So we start with hearing Krishna Katha. Now there are some regulations which we have to follow. We cannot hear Krishna Katha from anyone and everyone. We have to hear Krishna Katha from an authorized person who is actually coming in the disciplic succession. Because disciplic succession means we are receiving the knowledge from Krishna, not directly, but knowledge comes from Krishna down through the disciplic succession. So we are in a safe place wherein we can hear and then relish the Krishna Katha. So I would like to chant one verse, which is very, very interesting verse, very important verse from Srimad Bhagavatam. This is coming in the 3rd canto. Lord Kapiladeva is instructing about different aspects of bhakti, and he is concluding with pure devotional service. So this verse is 3.25.25, and this verse talks about many aspects. Very interesting verse. I'll chant the verse and then we will discuss. Satam prasangan mama virya samvido bhavanti hrit karna rasayana katha tajjoshanadashvapavargavartmani shraddharatir bhaktir anukramishyati. And Prabhupada translates this in a very beautiful way. So he starts with this Satam Prasangan. Satam means Sajjana or pure devotees. Prasangat means their association. If we remove this Satam Prasangan from this verse, the whole verse will collapse, at least in our vicinity. We cannot access this verse. Even though there are a lot of nectar in this verse, the channel is Satam Prasangan. So that is very, very important. Already Prabhupada mentioned that in the purport, pure devotee association. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came as a devotee mainly for that purpose only, so that conditioned souls will get a pure devotee association, because he came as a devotee in the mood of Radharani. Because Krishna came, as Krishna himself gave the very important instruction, Sarvadharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Vraja. But then he felt most of the Kali Yuga people are not following that, or are not able to follow that instruction. Suddenly surrendering to Krishna, forgetting everything else, which is very, very difficult. Then Krishna thought, I should come as a devotee and show them how to surrender to Krishna in a very beautiful way. And then he spread the holy name of Krishna. So in this verse, that Satam Prasangan is very important. So I'll read the translation. In the association of pure devotees, discussion of the pastimes and activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is very pleasing and satisfying to the ear and the heart. So this is Hrit Karna Rasayana Katha. And Mama Virya Samvida. Samvida means discussion of Mama Virya. Krishna is Lord Kapila Dev, incarnation of Krishna. He's telling Mama Virya, my wonderful activities in the association of pure devotees, which is very, very important, bold letters, underlined aspect. Then this will be very pleasing to our ears, and the katha enter into the ears, and it will enter into the heart. So we can feel that nectarian Krishna Katha. We can relish and experience the sweetness of Krishna Katha. And then next line, by cultivating such knowledge, Tajjoshanad, one gradually becomes advanced on the path of liberation. So in the verse, it is mentioned that Ashu. And here Prabhupada wrote gradually, because Ashu can mean, Ashu is relative. For one soul, Ashu could be one moment. Another soul, Ashu could be 1 year. Another soul, it could be several years, or someone else, Ashu could be many lifetimes. Instead of 1,000 lifetimes, 5 lifetimes, for example. So 5 lifetime is Ashu, quickly in comparison with 1,000 lifetimes. So Prabhupada wrote that as gradually becomes advanced on the path of liberation, apavarga vartmani. That is path of liberation. Now, apavarga is expanded by acharyas. Prabhupada spoke about that. We will discuss that. And then in the verse, last line, and thereafter, that means once someone is advanced on the path of liberation, he is freed. Now, freed means freed from the material attractions, attachment, dualities, etc. And his attraction becomes fixed. Now the attraction is not on material, but attraction is on spiritual. Then the real devotion and devotional service begin. So here, the real devotional service only begin at this point, after going through all these things. So what, at least for myself, I can say what I am practicing is not this kind of real devotional service. I am still in the anartha nivritti stage, trying to execute this devotional process. So sometimes with difficulty, etc. But this path is required. We have to gradually come to this path and then begin our pure real devotional service, and then grow from there and reach to the Prema Bhakti and beyond. I mean, that is our ultimate goal. That's what we have been given by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So in this verse, this Shravanam is very, very much emphasized. Shravanam in the association of pure devotees. Hrit Karna Rasayana Katha. It becomes Rasayana. Rasayana means pleasing or nectarian when we hear Krishna Katha in the association of pure devotees. Now this Apavarga means in Sanskrit or other, at least other Indian languages, we have these letters Kavarga, Chavarga, etc. Ka, Kha, Ga, Gha, Nga. Then pavarga means starting with pa, pa, pha, ba, bha, ma. So it is described that this pavarga is compared to materialistic endeavor and its outcome. Meaning the letter pa means parishrama, especially material kind of parishrama, means endeavoring very heavily, hard, hard working and day and night working, 15 hours daily working, just to get some material satisfaction, which never exists, or just to get some money or this, that. People do a lot of parishrama. And then after that, pa, pha, next letter is pa means pena. Pena means form. Those animals, sometimes they work too hard and then form will come from their mouth. Like that, even human being, they also do this kind of parishrama, a lot of parishrama, and then it'll take them to a stage wherein form comes from their mouths, or at least their body will be shaking and very tired, and they get into a lot of diseases, etc., etc. Still they don't realize. And then what happens is papa, then third letter is ba. Ba means bandhana, because the whole purpose of their working is to please their relatives or family members or friends, etc. And then they develop this attachment to them, these relatives, friends, or materialistic assets, things, my house, my car, my this, that, even some small thing, very silly things also people get attached to. So Prabhupada used to say that even a pauper who is like very poor, he doesn't have anything, and he gets maybe 1 paisa or something, he'll be very attached to that also. So that is papa bandhana. So they develop the attachment, wrong kind of attachment to this materialistic everything. Then what happens is, once someone owns something, they develop fear. That is fourth letter, papa ba bha, bhaya. So they develop fear in the sense that, will I lose this? If I lose this, what will happen? Etc. So that fear will really make their life horrible. Even if someone has so much of money and friends and relatives, and even people will be always trying to please their friends or relatives, to the extent that they will be simply worrying, and they will be always anxious just to get into their circle and to fit into them, and etc., etc. They forget the fact that the whole purpose of their parishrama was to enjoy with this group of people, and they're simply trying to please them, and they are going through a lot of anxiety. That is papa bhaya. And then in that stage, they live their life, and then the last letter ma means mrityu. They will die thinking about all these things. As we know, this is very familiar topic to all of us. Probably we have been into this chain of activities at least some years before, and maybe to a smaller extent even now, who knows. So this is the pavarga. Now apavarga means negation of pavarga. That means no, all these things we can negate. We might still do, devotees still work hard, but not for those materialistic kind of achieving materialistic wealth or anything related to material. We will negate that and work hard to please Krishna, work hard to please the devotees. So the parishrama will be now regulated, and that has a different meaning, and that is going to take us to a different destination also. So the parishrama is no more, creating anxiety in us, because once someone execute devotional service, we will not be tired. We will be actually enjoying. We will be in the bliss. Susukham kartum avyayam. This Bhagavad Gita speaks about this susukham. It is very joyfully done. And then there is no form coming from our mouths, and there is bandhana, but not to the relatives or friends or so-called people, materialistic people. The bandhana is to Krishna and devotees. So that is a good kind of bandhana. And there is no bhaya anymore, because when we are with Krishna, we know Krishna is the supreme. He is the controller of all controllers. He is the source of everything. So he He's not afraid of anything. He doesn't need to because he is the controller. So if one takes shelter of him, those people also they don't want to be afraid of anything. So the bhaya is no more there in the hearts of the devotees. And then mrityu, of course, material body will die. Everyone knows that. But we don't realize that I will also die. But of course, devotees are not afraid of mrityu anymore. Because Bhagavad Gita, again, instruction is given. If one executes devotional service or yoga process, and if one did not complete that, so they will get a very nice birth in the next life after leaving this body. So after mrityu, after death, what is coming up is better than what I'm going through now for a devotee. So devotee is not afraid of mrityu, even though mrityu happens. So the whole pavarga is upside down now. It is apavarga. That means it is liberation from this material, at least consciousness-wise. Even if we are carrying this current material body and we have this same mind, but we are not the devotees. Devotees are not afraid of anything like this. So they are in one sense in the path of liberation. That is this pavarga, apavarga, vartmani. Then we develop this Shraddha, firm faith. Now Shraddha has different degrees. Adav Shraddha, a little bit faith. Then when we start executing devotional service with devotees, our Shraddha, faith will increase, and we will have firm faith. Firm faith is just by executing devotional service, I am completely sure that Krishna will protect me in any situation. And how Krishna protects is up to him. Of course, it's not easy to come to that level, but as mentioned here, this is after going through these devotional practices. One has to reach to this level of firm faith. Then they will develop attraction. Again, attraction to Krishna, attraction to this bhakti process itself. And then one reaches to this higher stages of bhakti. Shraddha, Ratir, Bhaktir, Anukramishiti. So this is follow in order. Prabhupada translated this word. Anukramishiti is follow in order. So we have to come to this firm faith. Then we will develop more attraction, the Rati, and then bhakti. That is the actual kind of bhakti. Then we actually relish bhakti, moment to moment. Srila Prabhupada demonstrated that to us, how he was relishing the bhakti. He was going through all kinds of tribulations, all kinds of challenges, which we cannot even imagine what kind of challenges he was going through. But he was simply relishing each and every activity he was doing, whether it is chanting the holy name or speaking Bhagavad Gita or planning for building a huge temple or chastising his disciples so that they will do things properly, or printing books, or sleepless nights translating all these Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, Chaitanya Charitamrita, etc. He was enjoying every moment of his life. He's a pure devotee, of course, but he was demonstrating that we also can reach to that stage. And then when we are in this kind of platform, so Brahmaji also spoke this similar, so I just want to touch upon that, because Brahmaji is the Acharya of this Sampradaya, and he spoke this very famous verse in 10th canto, 14th chapter, 3rd verse. Jnane praya samudapasya namanta eva jivanti sanmukharitam. The same thing comes here, satam, san, that is sajjana, pure devotee, mukharitam, their mouth, bhavadiya vartam. Again, same thing, Krishna Katha. Here Kapila speaks about my Mama Virya Samvido, but here Brahmaji is speaking to Krishna, mentioning your Varta means news, not the mundane news. So if one is situated in hearing Krishna Katha, while remaining situated in their established social positions, we don't need to move away from our social position and go to Himalaya or something. We can be as we are and then start this process of bhakti and give up all these jnana, karma, all those kind of yogas, and simply come to this devotional path. Brahmaji is mentioning this. Then by dedicating one's life to those narrations of Krishna's pastimes. But it has to be vibrated by the pure devotees. Then only the impact will be there. Then what will happen is, it will conquer your lordship, Brahmaji is telling. Even though you are Ajita, Ajita means unconquerable. No one can conquer Krishna. He is a controller of every controllers. But pure devotees, in a loving way, they conquer Krishna, or Krishna is conquered by their love. So this is the only way to come out of this material attachment. So again, there is so much to speak about this subject matter. But this another verse in Bhagavatam 1.2.16, another celebrated verse. That verse gives us the tip. How can one achieve this platform of pure devotional service? It is a gradually achieved platform. Not, I mean, of course, Prabhupada used to say, even in one moment you can become a pure devotee, but that is rare. But how do we start with hearing? To start with hearing process, one has to have affinity for hearing. We cannot force someone, you sit here and hear Krishna Katha for next 3 hours. As we know, our span of attention is very, very low, especially in Kali Yuga. In 5-10 minutes, we will be, not even 5-10 minutes, 1 or 2 minutes, we will be going away from what we are doing. One of my friend, college friend, he used to say that he was very, very, his attention span is very bad. He's very distracted. So at home, he has a room, he has to do his homework and these activities, but he will be always distracted. There will be some small stuff in his room, so he'll be just playing with that or something. So parents have to move that stuff away. Then he will play with something else. If nothing is there, he will play with the pen, which he has to use for studying. So finally, parents gave him just a paper and pen and nothing else. But still, he was distracted, he was telling, for example. So Kali Yuga, it is very difficult to pay attention to anything. So what to speak of Krishna Katha? Because we are fully busy with dealing with our own material things and material attachments. How can I enjoy this? How can I enjoy that? And Maya is simply pulling us here and there. So Bhagavatam, this verse, Shushrusho Shraddhadhanasya Vasudeva Katharuchi Syan Mahat Sevaya Vipraha Punyatirtha Nishevanal. So the tip here is Shushrusho Shraddhadhanasya. So with care and attention, Shushrusho, engaged in, one who is engaged in hearing. From whom? Syan Mahat Sevaya Vipraha. So we have to serve the pure devotee and hear from them. What are we going to hear from them? Naturally, they will speak only Krishna Katha, Vasudeva Katha Ruchihi. That way we develop that Vasudeva Katha Ruchihi. So these Punyatirthas, those who are cleansed of all vice. So we have to attract them by service, and then they will reciprocate with Krishna Katha. And the best example is Narada Muni. So Narada Muni is a pure devotee. As we know, he is topmost devotee of one of the topmost devotee of Supreme Lord. So he became Narada Muni not just because of several years of tapasya, but he became Narada Muni just by 4 months of seva to these Bhakti Vedantas. After that, of course, he had to practice the devotional process. But the seed was given by these Bhakti Vedantas when he, in his previous life, he was a small boy. He did not have father, just one person, his mother. He was with his mother. So mother was serving them. So he also joined his mother in serving in whatever way, in his capacity. But since he was serving the Bhakti Vedantas, great personalities, devotees, they were very kind and they educated him, or they gave him opportunity to hear Krishna Katha. So that way, that was his seed of bhakti. And then he just took that bhakti into perfection. So this is the tip. We also have Srila Prabhupada. Fortunately, he descended to this material world. Krishna instructed him and he accepted that. So I was just hearing Dinabandhu Prabhu's lecture from Vrindavan today. So he was mentioning today in that lecture, very inspiring pastime of Srila Prabhupada, that once one of his disciple, before he became his disciple, so he was visiting New York 26 2nd Avenue, where Srila Prabhupada started this ISKCON movement. This is very early days. So, random people used to come and they did not have any good culture. Of course, they were not, given those kind of cultures from home. So at least they used to come. Prabhupada used to speak. After that, he used to, he would cook and offer the prasadam bhoga to Krishna, and that prasadam was served single-handedly to all these people, random people. And then this person also went to attend his katha, and then he stayed until the end, and then he was served this prasadam. All the people ate very nicely, and then he was mentioning that so the most people, or maybe all the people, they just ate in the plate, and then literally they threw the plate into the sink and then just left the room. So this disciple of Prabhupada, before he became disciple, so this person, he did not do that. He had some good culture. So he was just observing this, and then he stayed back and everyone else left. Now the room is filled with Prabhupada and him alone, only two people. So he was just seeing all these, all the plates are in the sink, and this old person, Bhaktivedanta Swami, is sitting there. So he was thinking, if I leave now this person has to clean the whole room and all the plates, and I'm not feeling very comfortable, just like others. So I don't want to leave. I want to serve, at least within my capacity. So he told, I will, Swamiji, I will help you cleaning this room and plates, etc. So Prabhupada was reciprocating and mentioned that, just before I was praying to Krishna that, my dear Lord, please arrange me some help so that, because he's at this age with all these diseases, he was very tired. Still, he was doing cooking alone and everything. So he told Krishna, just reciprocated by bringing you here and then making you to, come up with this nice request. So that Prabhupada, why did he come here? Here means to New York. He was very peacefully living in Vrindavan, and he was hearing Krishna Katha all the time, 24 hours. He could hear Krishna Katha, Radhe Radhe, and he was meeting devotees all the time. Matajis, Prabhujis, they were always serving the deities of Radha and Krishna, Tulsi Maharani, and chanting holy names. And he was very comfortable. And he left everything and he simply took the highest risk in his life. He could have lost his life. Still, he went to the Western world. He simply wanted, of course, instruction was there. His Guru Maharaj told him, you have to, English, so you have to go and preach in the Western world about Lord Chaitanya's message. So he was actually arranging this Shushrusho Shraddha Dhanasya and Nishevanal, this service opportunities. So he was creating service opportunities, hearing opportunities for those people who did not even hear about Krishna or anything about Gaudiya Vaishnavism or Sanatana Dharma, anything like that, by taking risk. So he was so compassionate, and he was very successful also, because he created such atmosphere in those areas of the world, not only in New York, but all over the world. He traveled in just 12 years and established 108 places of worship, which are not just places of worship, but places of executing Navavidha Bhakti. So that is the kind of compassion pure devotees are offering to us. And by taking that shelter, we can come out of this duality of material life. And we can also reach to the stage of Arjuna, wherein he is no more going through any anxiety. Just by remembering the instructions of Lord Krishna, he was able to feel the connection with Krishna. He was able to transcend this material nature. Mam chayo avyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatityaitan brahma bhoyaya kalpate. Again, Bhagavad Gita, how to transcend the three modes of nature by exclusive bhakti, unfailing bhakti. So now there is, from our side, we need to have this very favorable attitude, because instruction is flowing from the mouth of a pure devotee and instruction is flowing into our hearts. But sometimes instructions will flow to our mind and brain, and then we might even apply the instruction, but mechanically, then there will not be much transformation or realization. But when we take the instructions into our hearts and then apply that from that heart perspective, with gratitude to the person giving instruction, then we will come to that spiritual realization. And that requires, it is a must requirement that we must have sadhu sangha, pure devotee association, somehow, either through lecture or hearing or reading. So we have everything from Srila Prabhupada. We have so much of literatures from the Acharyas, Shad Goswamis, etc. So that we have to pay attention to. We cannot simply stay on the mind level or brain level. I learned so many verses, I remember this, that, and I can chant this verse nicely and I can speak about this philosophy, but it has to be applied in a very transcendental way, in the sense that we have to understand I am the spirit soul and Krishna is sitting in my heart. He's there. So I just need to be aware of that and take the instructions into our heart and then apply, not forcefully, but voluntarily, knowing that this is going to take me out of this miserable place. So one last thing, I will read few lines. This is about Narada Muni instructing to Srila Vyasadeva. When Vyasadeva felt a little bit, or he did not feel much bliss after composing all the Vedas and Mahabharata, etc., Narada Muni instructed him to write glories about Krishna directly, or describe Krishna's glories directly, not indirectly like in Veda. So in that context, one of the instruction, whether you go through this meditative process and the pastimes will be revealed to you, Srila Vyasadeva. So there is this line, very interesting line, that Srila Vyasadeva and his representatives, this is Prabhupada writing in context of that, Srila Vyasadeva and his representatives, that includes Prabhupada also, are pure in thought due to their spiritual enlightenment, like Arjuna, as mentioned in this verse. He has a spiritual asset. So they are pure in thought due to their spiritual enlightenment, and they are fixed in their vows due to their devotional service. They never deviate from their vows because of their devotional service. And then third one is very important, very inspiring, that they are determined to deliver the fallen souls, rotting in material activities. So they could be pure in their thought. One could be very pure in their thought because they may have spiritual enlightenment. One may be fixed in their vows because they are doing devotion service. But if one doesn't follow the third one, if one is not determined to deliver the fallen souls, then it is not going to help us. But Srila Prabhupada and these acharyas, Shad Goswamis and many of the acharyas, they were all concerned about the conditioned souls. So this is very, very inspiring. And now if we want to come to that stage wherein we also want to inspire others, of course we can inspire others now also, but unless one is pure, that inspiration will not be reaching the other person's heart. Maybe it will reach to some extent. So if we have to be there, we also have to follow this gradually, as mentioned in this Satam Prasangan verse, firm faith, attraction, and then bhakti. This pure, we have to become pure by becoming spiritually enlightened. For that, we need pure devotee association. And then we have to be fixed in our vows by practicing this devotional service. That's why Srila Prabhupada gave this process, very regulated process. Then we have to be determined to deliver the fallen souls. Of course, we also, or at least I am a fallen soul even now, but we need to have that desire in our hearts that I would like to be an instrument of my spiritual master and the parampara in delivering the fallen souls. Of course, we cannot deliver the fallen souls at all. We can become the instrument in that process, and then they will be delivered by Krishna. So these are some of the thoughts from this verse. So I'll stop here and see if you have any realizations to share.
Thank you so much, Prema Vardhan Prabhu.
Hare Krishna,
This
Prabhu.
wonderful lecture and journey through the Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, through the process of explaining this lecture. I really enjoyed that, appreciated that. So, dear devotees, go ahead and please ask questions or clarifications or appreciation. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavad Pranam. Thank you very much for taking time. I know it's already 10:30, but for giving a wonderful lecture. This particular verse, I see another wonderful verse which acts as a practical application for all practicing devotees. And this has 3 instructions, as you rightly mentioned, right? The disease, cure, and the result. Dvaita samsaya, and doubts arising from duality, and the cure, which is knowledge of Krishna. How Krishna, Arjuna remembered and recalled Krishna's instructions, and the result, which you beautifully explained about the Nairgunya Alingata Asambhava. And thanks for bringing in multiple analogies and references from Srila Prabhupada. And in the last, especially on the real devotional service, where you mentioned about Papa Baba, Parishrama, Bandhana, and Bhaya. That is so nice, Prabhu. And at the last, Srila Prabhupada's reference from 22nd Avenue, that's so inspiring. And you closed with a wonderful instruction for all of us that when an instruction is flowing from a pure devotee, and it's not just listening or hearing, how to take into that heart and how to apply is the key message I got from this lecture, Prabhu. Thank you very much. Hari Prabhu.
Thank you very much for summarizing very nicely. I appreciate your kindness. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Again, I think Vidagmada Prabhu summarized it very nicely. Very nice lecture. A lot of realizations that you added, as you always do. I also appreciated all the pastimes of Prabhupada that you shared and the Apavarga explanation. Thank you so much. It's always a very uplifting feeling to hear from you. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhu, very much for your kind words and inspiration.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Very nice lecture. Could you please give the reference to that Apavarga verse?
I heard this. I have to look for the reference. If any other devotees have reference, please also provide. This is from what I heard from Prabhupada and other senior devotees also. That's what I carry in my heart and I just shared. But I will look for reference myself for my benefit also. But of course, I'm sure some other devotees will have this reference. Somebody already pasted that reference. I think Vedanta Madhava Prabhu.
Okay, Prabhuji, it looks like lots of devotees have pasted in the chat message about appreciating
Thank you,
your
everyone.
lecture.
Hare
So,
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So, thank you all for joining for Bhagavatam lecture this morning. Really nice and inspiring to see all the devotees coming together to hear Bhagavatam. So,
Thank you very much. Srivancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Prabhu, are you still in the US? I understood your daughter is attending school here now
Yeah.
in the East Coast. Are you?
We are in India only, Prabhu.
Oh, okay.
We'll
I
see
hope
when-
you're feeling separation.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Are you planning to eventually come back to US or depends on
We don't
lots
know.
of things?
Krishna willing, yes, at least somewhere that side. If Krishna willing, we would like to.
Nice.
So we'll see how he reciprocates when and how.
Okay. Well, let us know if we can help your daughter in any way. Okay.
Thank you so much for all the devotees. Wonderful kindness.
Thank you. Okay. Take care, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you all.
Shri Srinivas Satyanandan Ki Jai. Hare
Jai.
Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare